Welcome everyone to First Wednesdays with Master Coach Gretchen Heido. This Wednesday, we are discovering what your perfect coaching practice looks like. It's probably going to have a few Q&A parts, so feel free to chime in what you'd like, when you'd like. We'd like things to be interactive so you feel like you're moving the needle forward on your business. So with that, I will hand it over to Gretchen.
Well, happy May, everybody. I'm really glad to see everybody today. Here is something that we're going to talk about tonight when we're talking about, our ideal coaching practice. One thing I want you to know is that there's no right or wrong with whatever it is for you. We're all at different ages, phases, and stages. And so what one person might find ideal could be completely different for somebody else. But when you think about ideal, I'd love to hear what the word ideal means to you. Out loud.
Well, for me, because I'm doing this on a part-time basis, just ideal is having clients that I love, that are motivated, that I really, feel in tune with, and that I have enough during the week that is really sufficient, and I don't have to scurry around trying to get more. But it's a good pace, a solid pace, something I can count on. It's really more about the quality of the client for me at this point.
Yeah. And that's good for you to know. So what I heard from what you said is that quality is what would make this would make your coaching practice ideal, the quality of the clients.
Yeah, like the clients I have right now, I love every one of them.
That's so important.
So it's such a pleasure for me. Yeah, I would like more. I would like more.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
Quality and consistency.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so you might want to write those two words down, because what we're going to do tonight while we're creating this ideal is you're going to refer back to, well, what do you even mean by ideal? Ideal can be one of those words that it's like, oh yeah, we all know what it means, but it's personal to each of us. And what's ideal in one stage might be completely different in a year or even 6 months from now. I just got done really recreating my own business. What was ideal for me even 6 months ago is not what's ideal for me today. I'm moving in a different direction, but I had to create the space to be able to figure out ideal. So I'd love to hear from somebody else. What does ideal mean to you today? Yeah, Susan.
So mine is around energy.
Mm-hmm.
That there's enthusiasm and an energy and an excitement thinking about, oh, I'm going to be coaching XYZ. So there's an anticipation. And then at the end of the coaching, I also have a sense of elation that, it was really a great conversation. I'm so energized. I'm so excited that I was able to help this client. That to me is ideal.
Yeah. And so what were the words that you heard that were key words for you to write down to refer back to?
Excitement, anticipatory, and elated.
Yeah. Good. Good. Write those down just so that you can keep that feeling as we're talking about ideal. One more person. What's ideal? What does it look like for you right now? Ideal.
For me, I think flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also creating consistency in my coaching practice. Those will be two ideal qualities of my ideal practice.
Yeah. So flexibility and consistency.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anyone who didn't share, you can put it in the chat, but know for yourself. And I like the way you said that, Gloria. Ideal. Did you say components? That wasn't the word. Ideal something for your practice. What did you call it?
I forgot.
It was really good. Okay. Well, either way, whatever that was, that we need to know what those things are. It's almost like our values, that what is it that you're wanting right now? Now, underneath that, the thing to think about is, what is the ideal amount of income? When we're thinking of this ideal coaching practice, what's the ideal amount of income that you would like to earn? And the reason we want to know this is sometimes we make the client creation hard due to the money. Maybe we make it too big, our money goal, and we forget that we have to stair step, and then we fall in a hole and get completely frustrated because we're not further along, further with quotes around it than we are, and we feel like we should be, because we give ourselves whatever that money goal is. But we really need to take a look at, when we're thinking about this with ideal, if it's ideal and we're saying things like energized and consistency and freedom and flexibility and whatever those different words are, does the money goal that we have support that ideal? Because it might not. Sometimes I'm in seasons where I know I really want a lot of time off. And when I'm getting ready to have a lot of time off, I'm not doing a lot of client creation that I know needs to start immediately. This is where I'm looking at people who are willing to start in X amount of weeks instead of wanting to start right now, or that sort of thing. I also look at people with, are they a long-term relationship or is it a dip in and dip out? For me, my ideal is I like to work with people on a long-term basis, because that's where I really see the changes with them versus just quick dip in and dip out. And I like it to be long-lasting changes. The other thing that creates for my ideal is safety, trust, and transparency. And when we have that safety, trust, and transparency, it can help the client to relax and to really get into it, and it can help you to relax. So really think about that ideal and your ideal income. Anyone have anything they want to share before I keep going with this? Okay, what do we have here in the chat? Rebecca, unmute and just share.
Sure. Which one? The money goal?
Both. Share the whole thing. Take up some space.
Sure. Thank you. I think right now my ideal is feeling really comfortable and confident in a practice that's aligned to me and authentic. And then I think that translates also practically to somewhere 3,000, 4,000 a month, because I am part-time. And so in my head, that's kind of a stair step to where I'd like to be in a few years. And then I think that translates to 3 to 5 clients one-on-one, and this workshop series I have that I really enjoy. And I think looking also big picture, like the momentum is what's really ideal for me right now, and testing out different things and trying different programs and packages and what works for me as a coach, because I am in this really safe learning space.
It's great to see that. It's really nice to hear what the actual ideal is. And it's good for us to know, because here's the next part. When we're thinking about that money goal and we're thinking about our ideal of the money goal, there's 2 things we have to consider. The first is, how much time am I going to need to invest and put into this to create this money goal? Like, how much time is this really going to take? And this is the place where coaches fall in a hole, that they're not always, I wanted to say honest, but that's not it. They don't always know. They don't look at it correctly with how much time they're actually going to have to invest. They think it's less hours than it really is. Sorry, my brain's a little bit fried right now. But they think that it's less hours than it really is. So maybe they think that for their ideal of earning, let's just use $48,000 a year, they will only need to invest 3 hours a week. Could be true, but it might not be. We don't know. And so you have to decide, how much time do I want to spend in my ideal business? And does that support those ideal values or ways that I want to live that we came up with in the first place. And so this is where the puzzle starts to fit together. And so we started with, what does ideal mean to you? You wrote that down. Then it's, what's ideal money? You wrote that down. Well, now it's ideal time. Do they match? This is where we have to check ourselves. Do they match? And if they don't match, which of those ideals are you willing to negotiate with? Is it with what you want to feel and what ideal means to you? Is it with the money, or is it with the time? And this is going to go back to the first ideal of, what does it mean to you? So it's almost like taking a look at, what's my highest value? This making sense for people? Yeah. What's coming through for you? What are you hearing in it? Or noticing about your own ideals?
I am noticing I am having to make some decisions between these two ideals recently, because I only have so much time in my days as a part-time coach, like still having a full-time corporate job. So that's actually been something I've been thinking about, is how do I realistically think about my ideal coaching practice right now in my life? And what is, yes, do I maximize? Maybe I slim down money so that I can have the ideal feeling that's realistic for my life right now, is something I've actually been thinking about. So
Good.
it's interesting.
And it's good for you then to go back and look at the highest value of your ideals, what matters the most to you. And that way you can really prioritize what's true for you. We come up with, every entrepreneur I've ever worked with, coaches and otherwise, we come up with these big, big dreams, and they're not bad to have. It may not be the one that you are doing today. You might be stair-stepping towards it. And that's okay. That's something that's really important for you to know and for you to realize, is that, let's say your number is $80,000 a year that you'd like to earn, but your ideal is you only would like to work 10 hours a week. You might be able to do that. I'm not sure. Depends on who you are, who you know, what you can do when it comes to client creation. But you're going to get to play with that. And then it's, what's it in conflict with, if anything? What will that 10 hours cost me? What am I giving up to do it? What am I gaining to do it? So it's our own mini coaching, in a sense, when we take a look at this. So that's something that's just important for us to consider. Now, the next part is ideal. How do you want to earn this money? Does it matter how it comes in? Does it have to be one-on-one clients? Does it have to be group clients? Is it workshops? Is it an inheritance that you suddenly get? Like, is the money attached to the way that you are doing business? And I know that that sounds like, what are you saying, Gretchen? I had a client who, she told me she wanted to make $250K in a year. She did not say that she wanted to just make it from her coaching business. She consulted, she coached, and she had some investments, and she's really good at selling things. Like, she finds antiques and then she does this thing and she sells them. I don't know, it sounds complicated, but she's good at it. At the end of the year, she made 275, but she wasn't happy about it. And I said, well, your goal was 250. You surpassed it. She said, no, but it wasn't from coaching. And I said, okay, you weren't specific that your ideal was that the money comes from coaching. So for you, take a moment and think about it. That money goal that you wrote down, how do you want to get it? Is it just from coaching? Is it consulting? Is it something else you know how to do? And if it is from coaching, how do you want to get that? Is it individual, group, workshop, speaking, some evergreen thing that you might be selling? Like, what is it for you? And let me just pause there. Did that spark anything for anyone? As far as the way that you want to earn this money or how you receive the money?
Hi.
Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you.
My cat wanted to participate apparently too. I was just going to say, I in my transition period right now, I'm moving out of Rebecca, what you were saying, I'm working out of working a full-time job eventually. And I imagine that consulting and advising would remain part of my income. And it was interesting when you asked that question to realize that I long-term actually didn't see that, like that I was maybe holding on to it as a crutch, as a sort of like, a fear, like that I need to consult somehow versus just only coaching. And so that was just an interesting thought for me in that moment.
Did it relax you?
Yeah, I mean, I felt more excited about coaching than about, the advising. Advising is something people always ask me to do, but the coaching is more fun. So that's an interesting thought.
Good. I'm glad, because all of this is supposed to provoke our thoughts. We're really supposed to get down into it, that if you have a certain number that you want, well, how do you want to make it? Remember, this is your ideal and you get to decide. So if it must be coaching, then we think about how can you do this in coaching? If it's with some other things that you can add to it, then you think about how you can do that as well. But it will help you to open up to possibility to really explore what's ideal. What's ideal. Does anyone else want to add to this? Have anything else they want to say? Okay. So when we're thinking about our ideal business, it can only happen if ... you are 100% responsible for your results. You have to be responsible for what you're saying that you want. And that becomes the next challenge in this. Are you in alignment with being willing to take that responsibility and to do whatever it's going to take? And it's different for everybody, what we need to learn, what we need to do, what we need to be figuring out to earn that amount of money that will support that ideal lifestyle that we're saying we want to have. And this is sometimes for people where they take a moment and they're like, wow, I don't know if I'm willing to be sure, I can say, yes, I'm willing to be 100% responsible for my results, but then what behaviors do I have to stop doing? So think about it for yourself. What behaviors do you have to stop doing? And I'll give you an example. I told you that just recently I've kind of reconfigured my own dream for my business, my own ideal. Well, I had to look at where am I overbooking myself, not just with my time, but in my mind. Because it wasn't giving me enough space to do this other piece of my business that I keep saying I really want. But if I'm 100% responsible for my results, then I have to take an honest look about what am I doing? Where am I allocating my time? It is severely under allocated for what I'm saying that I want to do versus where I'm spending it. So if I'm going to be 100% responsible for ushering in this next piece, I had to be willing to make some changes. So for you, what needs to change in order to do this? Sometimes it's that we need discipline. Sometimes we have to stay on a schedule. Sometimes we need to be accountable. Sometimes we need to learn something. Sometimes we have to stop making excuses, whatever that might be, but really take a look at it. And so the next question becomes, so then what's at stake? And for me, what was at stake was, wow, what if I lose this other stream of income? What if I lose all these clients that I've been working with because I decide to do this other thing? And I had to take a look and remember, but I'm 100% responsible for my results. If I have the time and I make that time by letting something else go, then of course I'll create the income over here. But I have to be responsible for that. So when we're teeter-tottering, we're not getting any results. Nothing is happening in any of it except for our phonetic energy that's like pew, 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 and it's not going anywhere. No one's getting anything that they need. So I'd love to hear from you if you're 100% responsible for your ideals in income and lifestyle and client creation and how you want to do this, what needs to change? Who can unmute and share?
Well, I think for me, I go through these periods where I'm really like tuned in to talking to people in different environments and, talking about what I do. And then I get to a point where I kind of pull back and then I'm not doing it. And I notice that's absolutely aligned to when I get clients and when I don't get clients, So it's really I don't like to be selling myself so much, but to step into it more. I mean, it's not selling myself. I tell them what I do, but I'm just saying, sometimes I don't like to have to, they should just come to me. I don't have to work so hard at it.
Yeah.
And I get into that mindset and I just don't want to deal with it. But it really needs to be something consistent that I'm really conscious of. It's a hydraulic press. You got to put it in to get it. So it's, got to come from somewhere.
Good noticing, because that's the truth. And that is a good action point then for you to be able to live up to these ideals that you have. Yeah. Who else? What are you noticing about your ideals and the behavior that would need to change, or something that you might have to do differently? What's in conflict?
I think your sharing about time resonated with me, Gretchen. Like, I have too many interests. So I stretch myself too thin in terms of, I think, different projects. And I realized that actually reduced my time for client creation. So it feels like my focus this year especially was all over the place. And I think that's part of the reason why I didn't get the outcome of, I think, goals that I was setting for myself, in a sense. Yeah.
Good notice. One more. Lily, are you willing to share? I'd love to hear from you.
I totally resonated with the teeter-tottering. That's where I'm at. I think I just need to focus and let the other drop and be okay with it, or either let myself drop and sit with it. I'm too worried, and I've been balancing with both my career as a nurse and coaching. So I'm still putting in both, but I'm not feeling completely satisfied with either, because that's where I'm at.
I really appreciate that transparency. And how many of you can identify with that? Not feeling satisfied with either thing or the one thing because you're not fully in. That has happened to me so many times. I have a variety of things that I like, programs I want to do, things I want to create, and I create and create and create. And then it's like, well, this isn't exactly what I wanted. Neither is this. I'm not focused on it as much as I should be if I really want the ideal of it. So if I want to skim the top, I'm really good at skimming the top. Good at skimming the top, good at creating a bunch of things and skimming the top. But if I want it to be rich and powerful and beautiful and connective and leaving people change, it requires something different of me. And so that's what I always have to look at when I'm creating my own ideal. Here's something else to know. Sometimes when we're thinking about our ideal coaching practice, and we're thinking about all of this with what we might have to give up, the next part is giving in. And what I mean by that is giving into where the energy is. Where is your energy? Because or energy and or excitement. Because ultimately, if you follow that, you're going to be able to really put the time that's needed into it and the fire that's needed into it. And it will be hard to get off track because that's where the energy is. That's where the motivation is. That's where all of the fun and excitement lie. But if we're doing this other thing that it's lukewarm, maybe not even lukewarm, maybe we don't even like it, but we're just doing it because there's money involved, it's never going to bring the results that you're hoping for. So when you're thinking ideal is energy and excitement. So just as I say that, what comes up for you as far as something that you know you should be doing because it brings you energy and excitement, whether you're doing it right now or not, what might that be for you? This is hilarious. I'm asking about energy and excitement. You're all like,
Could you clarify that a little bit for me? Because I love to travel. I mean, there's a lot of things I like to do. So I'm trying to understand the question, truthfully.
Sure. So when you think about to reach this money goal that you have in the way that you stated you'd like to reach it, and to live the ideal that you noted at the beginning, where's your energy and excitement? And it could be a program you want to create, a certain kind of people that you want to work with, places you want to speak, whatever it is for you, traveling while coaching, I'm not sure, but Where's your energy and excitement? Because that's going to be your arrow of where you want to point towards. That's what you follow. That gives you the direction. Does that help, Jill? So where's your energy and excitement, coaches? So let me pause here. Is the silence because you're unsure, you haven't thought enough about where your energy and excitement are, or because of fear of knowing what it is, but not wanting to say it out loud because you know that that's where your arrow points, but you don't know if you're willing to do what it takes to get there? I see a hand. Oh, Michelle, hi.
Hi,
So nice to see you.
just want to say something so crazy. My very dear friend Jill is here. We both have no idea that we were both joining. So I love it. Hi,
Great.
Jill. So my arrow is I was just quiet because I just joined. I'm sorry that I'm late. At this stage in my life, when I've had many careers before, and the clarity is so strong. And part of the excitement is I feel like I'm in a stage in my life of more wisdom and presence. And I'm excited to be able to, I know it's very cliche, but to hold space for people. And I think I'm at a place in my life that it isn't about me anymore, but it's really about service. So my energy is very high as far as my intentions. So
Good. Thank you for sharing that, and really good to see you.
thank you.
Yeah. Susan, I see yours with presenting to live audiences. Yeah. Yeah. Who else has one? Where's your energy and excitement? Mark.
Okay, so it's changed over time. I guess for me, it's people who have a very clear understanding of where they want to go. In other words, very specific goals. And also right now, I'm finding that I'm working with a lot of people they're seeking clarity in their career or need to find a new direction.
Mm-hmm. You know, Mark, I really appreciate what you said about it's changed over time. It does change over time. And this is the good news, is that we can continue to follow the energy and excitement. I had things that at the beginning I was very energized and excited by, and then they lose their luster and I create something else that I have energy around. You will always serve people the best when you are in it, when you have the energy and excitement for it. So it's supposed to change. It really is supposed to change. And then when you think about this, the next piece to think about is in this area where I have the energy and excitement, where my arrow is pointing, what's possible for me right now? What's possible? Everyone just take a minute and really think about it for yourself, because I want you to leave with something tonight that what is possible? It can be a who do you know? What could I do? What's available to me? What might happen if I tried? ... But what's possible? Because sometimes our arrow and the way it's pointing, it feels like it's pointing really far away. And we're like, what? Well, I want to, but how do I do that? Starts with a very small step most of the time. Maybe it's information gathering. Maybe it's a call that you have to make. Maybe it's a connection. I don't know. It's different for everyone. But when you start with what's possible, and then you build on it, well, if that's possible, what else is possible? Oh, well, okay, what else could be possible? You suddenly have a business all built on possibility instead of being afraid. And that's where we want to come from. What's possible, not where's the fear. So I'd love to hear it. What's possible for some of you? Thanks. Go ahead.
The thing that came up for me was just more was expansive success and joy. You know, if I lean into these things that are, I mean, even just a small step that I've written down for myself, that I know it's a step in the right direction to just spending more time on something that matters and pays money. Matters to me and pays money, right?
Yeah, great. Who else? What's possible? Susan.
So I'm thinking that of 15-minute lunch bites of presentations that would lead to what I really want is to be in front of live audiences. So this would be a marketing strategy just to get them warmed up to Susan Morris.
I love this idea. And then if that was possible, what else could be possible?
Coaching from that, group coaching from that. I mean, it opens up so many other avenues to get to the ideal money ideal.
So give me one more, because you said it opens up so many. Let's not be vague. What are they?
Well, it could open up more writing that I can do, more articles, more publications. It could open me up to getting in front of new groups that I don't have any connections to. That's all that I can think of right now.
But look at that. That was quite a bit. You have a whole business built just around this 15-minute lunch bites. And so this, and thank you for playing, Susan. And this is why we do this, is because when you go to what's possible, it's like, oh, the energy in your mind opens instead of being so constricted, but I have to make this amount of money. And what if I don't? And all the fear, it opens up, oh, what's possible? You're not saying you're doing it, just what's possible. And then from there, you take a look and it's like, okay, if that's possible, what action will I take? So now think for your what's possible. What action will you take? You know, even for me, but for everybody, if you have a business, it's always growing and changing. I did my own what's possible exercise and really took a look, and it's exciting. And then it was like, well, what action can I take? I've taken so many actions this week that last week weren't even on my radar before I had done this. So what's possible? What's possible? And let it be fun. Let it be in that vein of excitement, not the draining. Don't do those. Like, let those go, because then we never start. What's possible? That's exciting about this. What's possible? Yeah, Michelle, I see your hand.
Yeah, when I was in Los Angeles, I started holding women's circles just with friends. They were free. And they were so lovely. And so when I moved to the East Coast, I did one with a friend of mine who's a PhD psychologist, and she just brought all of her friends. And so I'd like to do more of those, and maybe even as the weather gets nice, hold women's circles as like hiking, you know, going on hikes together and just getting to know women that way and letting them know my services.
I think it sounds great. That's a good what's possible. That's a good action step. Who else? You have an action here you want to share with the group?
Hi, it's Julie. I can share something. Well, I think the what's possible, and sorry, I don't have my camera on. It's 8 o'clock here and I just didn't want to put it on. But anyway, so I don't know, I'm feeling a little guilty now because so many things are possible for me, but there's stuff that I just am not doing. And that is just having a regular event schedule where I'm teaching or doing, you know, something where I can bring people into my ecosystem. And I can see that the engagement is very high when I engage with people in that way. I just did a class today. It was, I got paid for it. And then last week I got paid for another thing that I did, but like, I know it's possible, but for myself, I don't do it. So it's possible that I can have this regular schedule of events and then get clients from it.
Thank you for sharing that, you know, because one of the questions to ask ourselves too can be, and how will I sabotage it? How will I get my own way and how will I sabotage it? You know, so Julie, I hear that you know what's possible and you and I have coached together before, but this part of maybe not taking the action or being as disciplined or whatever it might be for you of not doing it because the underlying fear that's below it. Do you mind if I share what yours is?
Yeah, I don't even remember what it is now. What was it? Because there's now other things coming up.
Can I say it? Is it fine with you?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm an
Okay.
open book. Go ahead.
Yeah, the fear of failure. So for
Right.
Julie, there's sometimes that she has great ideas and Julie has a lot of ideas, but then the way that she sabotages herself is by not taking the action because underneath it all, she's really afraid to fail. And so it's better to stay in, well, what's possible with no action, because then she doesn't have to feel like a failure. And so with that for yourself, when you ask yourself, but how will I sabotage this? Then go underneath that and ask yourself, because I'm afraid of what? And fill in your own blank. So how was I going to sabotage myself? Well, I just wasn't going to make room for it because underneath it, my fear is, well, what if it doesn't make the money I want it to make? What if it doesn't? And then when I connected back to my ideal and the reason that I was doing it in the first place, it's not about the money. It's about something completely different. So I could get myself out of that circle of like, but lack, because we get so afraid and our story gets involved. I'll be a failure. I won't have money. I won't look good. What if it's not as good as these other things? And we're telling ourselves a story and then we do nothing but live the way we've been living. So this is how, at the end of it, you do get to have your own ideal coaching business, any kind of business that you're going to have, but you have to ask what's possible, really look at how you're going to sabotage it, face the fear, the very bottom fear of what it's really about, and then ask yourself, what am I going to do anyway? I'm afraid, and what am I going to do anyway? And this is where it's really good to have a coach that you're working with to help you with these things and help with some of the accountability pieces too. So Julie, can I throw that question at you? You're afraid of failure, and what are you going to do anyway?
I'm just going to have to schedule these events.
Yeah.
I'm just going to schedule. I have the content. It's not even like I don't have it. I've been working towards this. And now like I'm doing an event on Saturday. And of course, I had to develop yet more content for that. And I just prepared to do this other keynote where I created all this content. So what I'm saying is like the stuff that I've been developing, I can use over and over and over again. I literally can do like every other week, I could do a session and I should just do it anyway. I'm just gonna have to do it anyway. Thank you for pointing that out to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's because we've coached and I know you. And so this is the beauty of having a relationship with a coach, is that the person knows you. You know, my coach will point things out to me that only she knows or only a few people know. And it's a mirror. It's a good reflection to help me get unstuck. That's the power of coaching. That's what we do. So you can be afraid. And what are you going to do about it anyway? I'm going to be really honest. So I have a new thing that I'm doing. I only put part of myself into it and no one's signing up. And it's hilarious because it's kind of a spectacular fail, even though it's not really a fail because I know what I need to do. But it's like, huh, yeah, okay, well, here it is. And what am I going to do about it? Well, I already know what I'm going to do about it. I know where I'm making room for it to go a different way. But when we do things on that teeter-totter, not in and not out, you can expect that you probably won't get any results. You will just stay in place. So it's all there. You know, how am I going to sabotage myself? By being overly busy, by having too many splits of what I'm thinking about. That's how I sabotage myself. What's the fear? Well, you know, I'm at this level. What if I have to drop a few levels to do the thing? It's just a story. Who says that even has to be true? Most of the time, our fears are not true. They're just stories, recycled and inherited stories that we have rehearsed so many times that we just identify with them over and over and over again, even though we've outgrown them. Okay, everyone, we have about 15 minutes. The floor is open for you to ask questions, make comments, share something that you want to share, spot coaching, whatever you like. Maybe there's a client situation that you have going on. Maybe there's something that you're wondering about. It can be on this ideals that we've been talking about, or it can be on something completely different.
Hey, Gretchen, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Robin.
Yeah, my dog was barking earlier, so he quieted down, so now I can talk to everybody. You know, it's interesting about the topic today. It resonates because I'm being pulled in a bunch of directions by people, and I just, you know, I wrote down today exactly where my focus is and that I have to stick with it. And we do. And so, you know, thank you for sharing your wisdom. The topic is so relevant. You know, it's what are we going to do anyway, even though we're afraid, or what are we going to do anyway? Yeah. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Who else?
Would you like to talk about the law of attraction? So what I mean is I have several clients that are the victims of SOS, shiny object syndrome, and really get easily distracted by whatever cute thing that comes along, whether it's somebody that pops into their office or a phone call or an email. And I find some days I have that same lack of discipline, that I'm all over the place. And I wonder if I'm attracting those clients to me and they're reinforcing my weakness. What do you think?
Well, what do you think?
I knew you were going to ask me that. What's my intuition tell? I think there's some validity, because I think if I can change my mindset and practice some small steps every day, and you said a while ago, create a to-do list. I find that when I have those structures, and I hold myself accountable at the end of the day to look at what I was accomplishing, that helps. So I have to get back into my own discipline.
There you go. So there's already an action that you can take towards your own what's possible. Yeah, good. Who else? Yeah, Michelle, go ahead.
I have a question about websites and coaching businesses. My gut is I want to do like a very simple, clean website and not spend too much time on it. I've seen some beautiful websites out there, but sometimes they almost feel like smoke and mirrors, you know. They may not have any clients, but their websites look amazing. And I feel like I would like to have like almost a little mystique to my website where it just brings curiosity. So I'd just love to hear your feedback about websites.
Okay, what's the actual question? Because there's so much I can say on websites. So what's the question?
Do you think that launching a new coaching business, that I should spend a lot of time in making my website spectacular, or are there certain things that you are just very important that you would include in it and stick with that?
Great question. So think about yourself as a consumer. What's important for you to see on a website before you consider making a purchase?
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. And that way, because what's important to me might be different than you. So do I have ideas? Sure. But they would all be my own ideas and you could look at my website and see it, you know? But for you, what helps you to make a decision? And that's what you would create them for your own website.
I love that answer. Thank
Good.
you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Who else? What else is going on in your lives right now? Your coaching practice, your business, anything that you want to put on the table, support that you might need.
I have a question.
Sure.
A little off topic, but since that's okay. I am curious what the range of workshops, pricing ranges are for workshops. It's a new territory that I'm exploring and being creative in. And so I have been doing them for free, similar to like the women's circles. They've been more like smaller intimate circle
Yeah.
workshops that I've been testing, but I'm thinking, you know, I would like to and should charge for them eventually. So curious.
You know, Christy, do you have an answer for this one? You already knew I was going to ask you.
Have all the thoughts in the world, yes. I actually just had this same conversation with Susan earlier of, long story short, it can depend on your type of client. There are some types of clients that are out there that are seeing all these like mini offers and things that will actually lower their chance to actually spend money for a 1-hour workshop. Now, if they're not in that circles and they don't know that exists, it makes it easier to charge a little higher. What I recommend it generally is to be very clear of what you're delivering in that workshop so that they feel that whatever price point you decide at does match for them in their heads. Generally what I see out there, honestly, is anything between, if you're charging, anything between $7 and $297. The ones that are 10 higher either have much more things going on or they're more technical. Those are the ones that I tend to see that are a little bit higher. So as you guys know, Gretchen has workshops going on and we decided to price them at $47. So it really depends on your audience, what your goals are, and even what the goals are for the workshop. Is it for a one-time income, or are you using that to fuel something else to get paid warm leads for another bigger program? I don't know if that answered your question or made it more complicated for you.
No, it definitely helps. I think it is more, the primary goal is for leads and marketing and creation and experience. And the secondary goal, I think, is an extra, another income stream.
Another thing that I would recommend is if you've already been running this for free, ask your people, how much would you pay for this? Just see what their honest answer is. You may have to answer lower because they probably already love you and everything, but just like ask them to see like, well, if I start charging for this, what would you pay for this? Because then you
Yeah,
get it directly from them.
a wide range. It was, so I think that's what made it more tricky. I was like, okay, well, where do I land? So, okay, thank you.
Yeah. So with that, you know, just get their average number and then you can scale up from there. Just like, let's try this and then go higher. If you're getting less people signing up, maybe your sweet spot was a little lower. It's all a numbers game. And psychology, a lot of psychology.
So can I just ask a question off of that? And the question is, so if you're doing, let's say, a workshop for $47 and it's a warm lead, where are you sending them next?
Yeah. So for me, where I plan to send them next is I have a 6-month intensive that's going to start in October. That's going to have some retreats with it, with also 6 months worth of group coaching. And so it's a higher buy-in. So that's why we made it 47, is because people who are willing to spend 47 for a workshop are more willing to invest in higher price programs, where if they're a $7 lead, they may not be willing to invest in the kind of program that I'm putting on. Does that make sense, Julie?
Yeah, it does. I was just wondering if you were sending them also, you know, potentially to a free coaching hour.
Sure.
If you weren't doing,
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going, anyone that's going to join that program anyway, I'm going to coach with them for an hour just to see if they're a good fit for the program. So yes, anytime that you can send people to your coaching hour, to that conversation with you, it's great because then they get to experience coaching. But let's say that you do something for $7, but your coaching is $7,000 for 3 months. It's a mismatch in price, because if I paid $7 to go to your workshop for an hour or 2 hours, and then you're however many more times that is, you know, in individual coaching, I might even feel like it was a bait and switch. So a lot of times, you know, I do things for free. I do a lot, like this is free. And people then get to know me and we create community, which was always my reason for doing it. But if you're going to look for a coach, a lot of times people will reach out to me and they want to talk to me, whether it's me or do I know someone, and they're willing to refer people because there's already trust there. But I wasn't trying to get anything up front. I'm not charging you to come to this. And that's on purpose. You know, that's on purpose. So you really have to think of the strategy with it. I tend to do service first.
Well, I mean, I did put that into practice, what you told me, like the free coaching hour.
How did it
And
go?
it's been working. It really works. Like, because you can already see that the client is getting movement from the one session. And then they're almost like to a point where they can't like live without the next one, you know?
That means you're doing it right. You're doing a good job. I'm glad that
Yeah, but
suggestion was helpful.
it worked. But the only thing I probably didn't listen to, I think I did something wrong. Like in the session, oh no, I sent the proposal for coaching before we talked about it. I shouldn't have sent it but he did want to meet with me again. So I'm meeting with him Friday again. But I sent the actual, like how much it was, because I feel like the guy really needed to see it first, you know?
Okay. Well, one thing to do if someone asks for the price, remember you want to do those requirements and slow them down. I'm glad that we're here. I have some requirements. Are you ready? This is what that means. Are you committed? It's more than just finances. Let's coach. You go over that. And I don't send anything. I speak it. My highest recommendation is because we can't be afraid to talk about the numbers. We're business professionals. And people can get
Yeah,
really nervous when they're like staring at the paper and like looking at the number instead, like, let's deal with this right now. Let's talk it through.
yeah. I think I'm still not comfortable with that. That's the thing. I got to get more comfortable.
Yep. Practice,
So
practice.
Gretchen, you never send anything in a written form to people?
Not typically. Once in a while I do. Corporate, they usually require it. And so they always require it. So with them, it's only after I have coached somebody there, usually the CEO or the top decision maker. We've gone back and forth. I've already spoken it to them, then I will send it. So it's not the first time that they see it, or it's the first time that they visually see it. It's not the first time that they've received the information because I've spoken it. Yeah, I don't do a lot of time sending proposals and contracts. You're in or you're out. If you're a yes, I'm going to send you something. If you're not a yes, then let me know when you're a yes and I'll send it over. Otherwise, I'm very much able to articulate with the person what it is that they need to know. Okay, everybody. So good to see you all tonight. I hope that you enjoyed talking about your ideal coaching practice and what that could be for you and what you're going to put into action. You know, these conversations are great, but if you don't take these gems and do anything with them, it's just like another training that goes nowhere. So we want to make sure that you are taking action. So take some action and then put it in the Coaching for Coaches community of what you did so that we can all celebrate with you and hear how it worked. Okay, everyone, nice to see you. Have a good month.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome. Take care.
Bye, everyone.